In the stillness of ancient nights, stories rise from the stones of forgotten temple. Whispers move with the wind, carrying secrets older than empires and kings. Among them is a tale of a shield, not forged in fire, but born of divine wisdom. It is called the Eternal Shield of Athena, a guardian beyond time and war. Legends say it shines with truth, reflecting not blades, but the heart of its bearer. This is not a tale of conquest, nor of blood spilled on distant battlefields. It is the story of wisdom, courage, and the quiet strength that protects unseen. Travelers spoke of its glow, hidden in silence, waiting for seekers of the mind. They believed the shield was a gift, not to conquer, but to awaken understanding. Athena, goddess of wisdom, placed it where few would dare to search. Not in palaces, not in armies, but in the depths of reflection and thought. To hold it is not to wield power, but to walk with truth in every step. Tonight, we follow that path, guided by echoes of old voices. The journey begins here, where myth meets memory, and wisdom becomes eternal. Legends travel like rivers, winding through valleys and across forgotten fields of stone. In Greece, where mountains rise like guardians, stories cling to every echo of the wind. Among these tales lives the whisper of a shield, not of bronze, not of steel, but of wisdom. It is the Eternal Shield of Athena, glowing softly in the memory of poets and seers. People say it is older than the wars of men, older than the songs sung in great halls. It carries no scars of battle, for it was never struck nor lifted in anger or pride. Instead, its surface holds the quiet reflection of truth, like a mirror touched by light. Those who saw it spoke in hushed voices, as if silence itself guarded its presence. Travelers claimed it appeared at dusk, when the world softened into silver shadows. Sailors whispered of its gleam upon calm waters, guiding them away from hidden reefs. Farmers believed its blessing lived in their harvest, steady hands, and clear judgment. To them, the shield was not an object, but a promise of wisdom woven into life. Yet the shield did not belong to all, nor could it be grasped by those with restless hearts. The legends say it called only to seekers who valued truth above victory or power. It asked no price of gold, no offering of weapons, only the courage to listen and see. Priests in Athens told children that the shield was a lantern for the soul. They said Athena herself breathed wisdom into its form, eternal as the stars above. Its light, they claimed, could pierce confusion, guide lost spirits, and calm the mind. No blade could dent it, no storm could dim it, for it was not matter but meaning. Imagine a world where warriors laid down their arms to touch a truth unseen. Imagine a city built not on conquest, but on clarity, where justice found its shield. This was the dream carried in the whispers of the Eternal Shield of Athena. But dreams often turn to riddles, and riddles draw those bold enough to seek. So the legend spread, carried by poets, carved into stone, painted on clay jars. Each retelling changed, yet the heart of the story remained. Wisdom protects. Some said the shield was hidden deep in the forests, beneath oaks older than time. Others swore it rested in a temple where only echoes answered prayers. A few believed it floated upon the sea, a light that never sank beneath the waves. And still more thought it was no object at all, but a truth found within oneself. The mystery became a map for dreamers, each path a thread woven with hope. But the shield, eternal and patient, did not reveal itself to every wandering soul. Only those willing to pause, to breathe, and to look inward could feel its glow. For in its presence, all lies unraveled, and only the heart stood clear and uncovered. This frightened some, For truth is heavier than iron and sharper than any spear. Yet it healed others, reminding them that wisdom is the greatest protection of all. So the legend lived on, not in battles or victories, but in quiet moments of clarity. Every generation retold it, weaving the shield into lullabies and sacred hymns. Children grew listening to its promise. Adults sought it in their restless years. And elders passed away still whispering, "The shield remains, eternal, unseen." In the end, the story was not about Athena's gift alone, but about the seekers. For the shield, timeless and silent, waits for those who choose wisdom over pride. And so, when night falls and the air carries the voices of forgotten gods, listen. You may hear the call of the Eternal Shield of Athena, waiting in the stillness. The tale now turns to a single soul, a traveler with no sword, no crown, no place of glory. He was not a warrior seeking conquest, but a seeker guided by wonder and quiet resolve. His name was forgotten by history, yet his story lingers like a flame that will not fade. He carried no banners, no armor, only a small satchel and questions in his heart. From a young age, he gazed at the night sky, longing to know the truth beyond the stars. While others sought wealth or power, he desired only wisdom and clarity of spirit. The world around him often felt loud, crowded with pride, battles, and endless noise. Yet within, he carried silence, a patience that grew like a seed waiting for light. He walked through villages where merchants laughed and soldiers spoke of victories. But he listened more to the wind, the rivers, and the stories told by wandering elders. It was in these stories that he first heard of the Eternal Shield of Athena. Not as a weapon, but as a guide for those who walked paths unseen by the restless. The thought stirred him, not with greed, but with longing to see what others could not. He asked an old scholar about the shield, and the man smiled without answering. "You must listen more than speak," the scholar said, "and walk more than you ask." So the traveler began his journey, not toward riches, but toward understanding. He moved lightly, never rushing, for he knew wisdom blooms slowly, like dawn. Children often followed him, asking for tales of his path and dreams of hidden things. He shared not promises, but questions, teaching them to wonder with open eyes. Farmers offered him bread, moved by the kindness in his voice and steady gaze. Priests offered prayers, sensing a light in him that needed no altar to shine. He thanked them, but kept walking, guided by whispers carried in every horizon. One evening, he rested beneath an olive tree, staring at the stars above. He wondered if Athena watched him, weighing his heart in the silence of the night. The tree's branches swayed gently, as if answering with blessings unspoken. He rose with the dawn, carrying a calm resolve, for his journey had only begun. The road before him was long, yet each step felt less like distance and more like awakening. He found meaning in simple things: the laughter of children, the rhythm of waves. Every sound, every shadow seemed to whisper fragments of a truth he sought. At times, he doubted, fearing the shield was nothing but a tale woven from hope. But in those doubts, he remembered the scholar's words: listen, walk, and wait. So he pressed forward, even when paths grew wild, tangled, and uncertain. He was not searching for an object, though he did not yet realize this truth. He was searching for a reflection of himself, for the courage to face his own heart. The eternal shield, they said, found only those who did not seek to claim it. And though he longed for its light, he carried no desire to own or command it. Instead, he sought its wisdom, the silent strength that could guide his steps. Thus, the traveler became more than a wanderer. He became a vessel of patience. Villagers who met him later spoke of his calm presence, as if the world slowed around him. They said his eyes seemed to reflect something greater, though he held no shield at all. Perhaps, in some quiet way, the shield had already begun to walk with him. For every story of the Eternal Shield begins not with finding, but with seeking. And this traveler, unnamed by history, became the seeker who would walk that path. His journey into the heart of Athena's mystery had only just taken its first breath. The traveler's path soon brought him to a place where time itself seemed to pause in silence. It was the house of an oracle, hidden in the folds of a valley, crowned by olive trees. The villagers spoke of her words with awe, for she was said to hear the breath of gods. Her dwelling was simple, a circle of stones with a fire that never seemed to fade. The traveler entered with respect, carrying no gift but a heart open to truth. The oracle did not greet him with smiles, nor with the warmth of welcome. She watched him in silence, her eyes deep as rivers that knew no beginning or end. For a moment, the fire crackled, and the air grew heavy with unseen whispers. Then she spoke, her voice slow, like echoes rising from within the earth itself. You seek a shield that is no shield, yet it protects more than iron or bronze. Her words unsettled him, for they carried riddles sharper than any blade. He bowed his head, asking softly, "Where must I walk to find this gift?" The oracle stirred the fire, and the flames twisted into shapes of shifting light. You must not walk for power, nor for triumph, but for the silence within. Her hand lifted, pointing toward the horizon where mountains touched the sky. There lies the path of questions, where temples crumble but wisdom endures. The traveler felt a chill, sensing the weight of her words sink into his soul. The oracle smiled faintly, though her eyes never lost their depth of mystery. "Beware," she whispered, "for the shield does not reveal itself to restless hearts. Only those who listen to silence may hear its call in the winds of the earth." He listened, uncertain if he understood, but certain he could not turn away. For the riddle was not a barrier, but an invitation written in the language of gods. The oracle placed a small stone in his hand, smooth, warm, glowing faintly. "This is not the shield, but it will remind you to carry patience on your road." He thanked her, though words felt fragile beside the weight of her gift. The stone pulsed with warmth, like a heartbeat echoing from within the earth. With it, he felt a new steadiness, as if the world's noise softened into calm. The oracle returned to her fire, already distant, as if she had never spoken. The traveler left in silence, carrying the stone and the echo of her riddles. Each step seemed lighter, yet his mind grew heavy with thought and wonder. He replayed her words as the wind turned them into songs against the hills. A shield that is no shield, a silence that protects, a truth unseen. He repeated them softly until they sank into him like seeds waiting to grow. The sun set slowly, painting the mountains with gold, then with shadows. He looked toward them, knowing they now held the next piece of his path. The oracle's voice still lingered, reminding him of patience, silence, and clarity. Though he carried no map, he carried the riddle, and that was enough to guide. For wisdom often reveals itself not in answers, but in the courage to walk. And so he walked, guided not by sight alone, but by the mystery of her words. The valley faded behind him, yet its silence seemed to walk by his side. Night rose above him, stars unfolding like scrolls across the darkened sky. He thought of Athena and wondered if the goddess smiled at his steps. For now he understood. The shield would not be found quickly or easily. It waited beyond pride, beyond impatience, in places where silence ruled. And with every step, the traveler felt the oracle's riddle alive within him. The journey was no longer just a search. It was the shaping of his soul. The traveler moved on, carrying the oracle's riddle and the small stone that glowed with warmth. The road stretched before him like a ribbon of dust, weaving between hills and valleys of silence. He walked until the villages grew fewer, replaced by ruins where nature claimed the stones. There, forgotten temples lay hidden beneath ivy, their pillars cracked but still reaching skyward. Time had not destroyed them, only softened their voice, leaving whispers in the broken walls. Each temple he entered carried a weight of memory, as though the gods had once lingered. The first temple was open to the sky, its roof fallen, its floor scattered with olive leaves. On its altar lay no treasure, only carvings of owls, faded yet still watching. He traced the lines with his fingers, feeling wisdom etched into the stone centuries ago. The carvings spoke not in words, but in silence, teaching him patience and quiet strength. He left with nothing in his hands, but something new resting within his spirit. Further along, he reached a second temple, half buried in earth and shadow. Its entrance was narrow, yet he bowed and entered, guided by shafts of light above. Inside, the walls shimmered faintly with images of rivers, mountains, and endless stars. He stood still, realizing the images were not decoration, but reflections of his own path. Every journey, the temple seemed to whisper, is a mirror of the one who walks it. He breathed deeply, understanding that the shield was not about distance, but perception. The third temple rose high on a hill, though half its columns lay fallen in the grass. Climbing the steps, he felt the weight of ages pressing down, yet welcoming his arrival. Within, he found no altar, no relic, only an empty circle of stone and silence. At first he felt disappointment, but then he realized the emptiness was its own lesson. In stillness, without distraction, he could hear his own breath, steady and alive. Perhaps the shield of Athena was not hidden in objects, but in such moments. Moments where silence speaks louder than words, and clarity becomes the true protection. He lingered, listening, until the wind itself seemed to breathe through the pillars. When he left, he carried with him not answers, but a deeper calm in his heart. Night approached as he walked onward, the sky turning gold, then violet, then deep blue. The path glowed faintly under starlight, guiding him as if the heavens themselves approved. He thought of the oracle's riddle, and the patience asked of him in every step. Each temple had given him nothing to hold, yet much to carry within. No shield had appeared, yet wisdom unfolded like layers of dawn across his journey. Perhaps this was Athena's way, not to give quickly, but to teach through searching. He realized then that the temples were not forgotten. They were waiting for seekers, waiting to teach lessons to those willing to see with more than their eyes. The ruins were teachers, their silence a voice, their brokenness a form of truth. And so the traveler continued, humbled, carrying no treasure, but filled with light. He felt less like one searching for a shield and more like one becoming it. For every patient step, every quiet temple shaped his spirit into something enduring. The shield of Athena, eternal and unseen, was not forged of bronze, but of wisdom. And perhaps, though he did not yet know, it was already forming within him. dawn returned with a pale light, painting the horizon with soft hues of rose and silver. The traveler rose from his rest beneath an olive tree, the riddle still burning in his thoughts. The air was cool, carrying the scent of time and the faint rustle of unseen wings overhead. He walked a narrow path bordered by wildflowers, each step echoing the silence of his quest. Soon, the land opened into a valley where water glimmered like glass under the morning sun. A stream wound gently, reflecting the sky, its voice a song older than any human tongue. He knelt beside it, cupping water into his palms, feeling clarity seep into his spirit. In that quiet moment, he sensed the stream was not only water, but a message of flow. The shield, he thought, may not be found in stillness alone, but in motion, in harmony. Following the stream, he discovered a grove where ancient trees grew in perfect circles. Their trunks twisted skyward, their roots knotted deep into earth, forming a living sanctuary. At the center stood a stone platform, cracked yet glowing faintly with a golden light. Owls perched above, their eyes reflecting wisdom, silent keepers of Athena's hidden presence. He stepped forward, the grove hushed, as if awaiting the weight of his next breath. On the platform lay a fragment of bronze, small, no larger than his palm. It shimmered, not like metal, but like a mirror reflecting more than just his face. He saw memories ripple across its surface, his doubts, his strength, his silent perseverance. The fragment seemed alive, speaking without words, asking if he was ready to listen. It showed him not victory, but responsibility, not power, but the burden of truth. Holding it, he felt warmth spread through his chest, as though his heart was being steadied. This was no weapon, no relic of conquest. It was a piece of understanding itself. He realized then that the Eternal Shield was not a single object, but many fragments. Scattered across temples, valleys, and hearts, it waited to be gathered by those who sought. Each fragment, though small, carried the essence of Athena's gift, wisdom, and protection. The traveler bowed to the grove, grateful, the bronze fragment glowing gently in his hand. The owls stirred, wings brushing the air, as though blessing his discovery in silence. He placed the fragment close to the stone from the oracle, and they pulsed, together. Two lights, separate yet connected, forming a harmony that guided his path forward. It was not yet the shield, but it was more than he had before. A beginning. Leaving the grove, he felt lighter, yet also more aware of the weight of the journey. For each step now carried not only hope, but a growing responsibility to protect truth. The valley behind him shimmered as if folding back into myth, guarding its secret once more. He walked on, past fields and winding roads, his spirit both tested and strengthened. The sun climbed higher, and with it his resolve, steady as the heartbeat within him. Though the path ahead was still uncertain, he knew he was not walking in vain. Athena's shield was no prize of war, but a mirror of the soul that sought it. And piece by piece, he was learning not just to find it, but to become it. The world around him seemed to whisper agreement, wind and stone moving as one. The Eternal Shield was no longer a legend far away. It was a truth awakening within. The road led him higher into the mountains, where the air grew thin and sharp with silence. Each step pressed against stone paths worn smooth by centuries of forgotten pilgrims. He carried the bronze fragment close, its glow steady, like a heartbeat guiding him forward. Clouds drifted below the peaks, wrapping the valleys in veils of shifting white. He walked above them, as though crossing into a realm where sky and earth blended. The oracle's riddle echoed again. Seek not the shield, but the wisdom that shapes it. He wondered if the fragments were not gifts, but questions, each testing his spirit anew. By midday, he reached a plateau, where a single oak tree stood alone against the horizon. Its branches spread wide, holding both shade and light, its roots split by ancient stone. Beneath it rested an old figure, cloaked, leaning on a staff polished by time. The traveler paused, uncertain, but the figure raised a hand in welcome, calm and quiet. "You carry a fragment?" the elder said, voice soft, as though part of the mountain itself. The traveler nodded, holding it up, and the fragment shimmered as if in recognition. The elder smiled faintly. "The shield is not built of metal, but of lessons endured." He asked the elder what this meant, seeking clarity where riddles left only shadows. The elder closed their eyes, listening to the wind before answering. "To carry the shield is to carry truth, but truth is never whole without compassion." The words struck deep, as if they had waited long within the traveler's own heart. He realized then that knowledge alone was not enough. It must be tempered with kindness. The elder pointed to the roots of the oak, where the earth had split open. There, resting in the soil, was another fragment, darker but still glowing faintly. The traveler reached for it, and as he touched it, warmth spread through his hands. This fragment showed him visions, not of himself, but of others he had met and passed. Faces of strangers, fleeting yet real, each carrying their own burdens, each unseen shield. He felt their struggles, their quiet hopes, their courage in small acts of endurance. The fragment taught him empathy, a shield not of self, but of shared humanity. When he placed it beside the first, their light merged, brighter, more complete. The elder nodded, satisfied, as though the mountain itself had answered a hidden prayer. "Do not seek the shield as a prize," the elder whispered. "Live it in each step." With those words, the elder seemed to fade into the light, like mist dissolving in sun. The traveler stood alone beneath the oak, but no longer felt truly alone at all. He now carried not only fragments of bronze, but fragments of the lives around him. The path downward was long, but his steps were steadier, his heart more certain. The mountains hummed with silence, yet within it he heard a chorus of unseen voices. They were not the voices of gods, but of people whose truths shaped the world. And he knew then, the Eternal Shield was not only Athena's gift, but humanity's inheritance. A shield not of war, but of understanding, forged with every act of wisdom and care. The sun dipped behind the peaks, and the sky burned gold, then softened into twilight. He continued forward, carrying two fragments, but more importantly, carrying their lessons. The mountains grew darker, the stars prepared their vigil, and the journey called him on. And with each breath, each step, he felt closer not to finding the shield, but becoming it. The traveler descended from the mountains, carrying two fragments whose glow felt steady, like twin stars within him. The path wound downward into forests, where tall pines whispered and shadows stretched like watchful sentinels. Birdsong filled the morning, a chorus of life reminding him that wisdom lived in simple things too. He followed a stream that danced through mossy stones, its voice a companion, steady and bright. By midday, he reached a meadow where flowers swayed in waves of color beneath the open sky. In the center stood a weathered arch, carved with symbols too old for memory, but alive with meaning. Approaching it, he felt a hum beneath his skin, as though the air itself recognized his presence. Stepping through the arch, the meadow shifted into stillness. time slowing into a quiet beyond measure. He found himself in a circle of stones, each marked with faint patterns of constellations. The place felt sacred, a temple without walls, guided by sky and earth alone. At the heart of the circle rested another fragment, pale as moonlight, yet unbroken by age. He knelt to touch it, and as his fingers met the surface, the world dissolved into light. Visions unfolded, skies filled with stars, endless oceans, the turning of seasons, the vastness of eternity. The fragment did not speak in words, but showed the vast fabric in which all lives were threads. He understood then that the shield was not only about protecting the self or others, it was about remembering that each soul was part of something infinite and connected. The eternal shield was woven not of bronze, but of time, memory, and unity. The vision faded, leaving him once more in the circle of stones, heart filled with awe. He placed the fragment with the others, and their glow merged into a deeper radiance. The three together pulsed gently, steady as breath, brighter than any flame of conquest. The circle of stones shimmered, as if blessing his gathering with silent approval. He sat there for a long while, listening to the wind and feeling the stars above. Though the sun still shone, he felt the cosmos pressing close, like a guardian unseen. When he rose, the meadow had returned to itself, yet he carried more than before. Each fragment was not just an object, but a lesson shaping the shield within his heart. He walked on, the forest paths guiding him deeper, where the trees grew taller and older. The light dappled through branches, reminding him of constellations mirrored on the earth below. Every step felt guided now, not random, but part of a path long prepared. The traveler thought of Athena, the goddess whose wisdom shone not in might, but in guidance. Her gift was never for power alone, but for the strength to see what others could not. And he realized. The eternal shield was not hidden from the world, only hidden in plain sight. It lived in kindness, in vision, in patience, in the silent fabric binding all things together. The fragments were not pieces of metal, but keys unlocking truths already within him. As twilight fell, he reached the edge of a lake where water mirrored the glowing sky. He set camp beside it, the fragments pulsing softly, as if alive in the night air. Stars emerged, countless and bright, and he felt them watching like guardians of the shield. He lay down, listening to the still water, carrying not fear, but wonder into his dreams. The eternal shield, he thought, was not only his destination, but also his awakening. Morning rose over the lake, calm and shimmering, its waters holding the reflection of endless sky. The traveler awoke to stillness, the fragments resting close, their glow softened yet unyielding. He breathed in the cool air, feeling strength in the silence, as though the world listened. The journey pulled him onward, and he followed a narrow path along the lake's edge. Mist drifted over the water, hiding distant shapes that seemed to flicker in and out of sight. As he walked, the fragments pulsed faintly, as if guiding him toward something unseen. The path curved into a grove of willows, their branches trailing into the mirrored water. Beneath their shade, he found a small shrine carved into stone, weathered yet cared for. Offerings of flowers and simple tokens lay upon the altar, left by unseen hands. He knelt, sensing this place was sacred, a doorway between the living and the eternal. Upon the altar rested another fragment, this one clear, like crystal lit from within. When he touched it, light spread across the shrine, weaving into patterns of memory. The crystal fragment showed him not stars nor faces, but choices, moments of decision. He saw crossroads where he had paused, questions unanswered, paths untaken. It revealed the weight of choice, how each step shapes not only oneself, but the world. Wisdom was not only in knowing, but in choosing with courage and clarity. The shield was not meant to protect from choice, but to protect through choice. As he understood, the crystal fragment merged its glow with the others, harmony deepening. 4 fragments now pulsed as one, their light steady as a heartbeat, growing more complete. The traveler felt a shift in his spirit, as though carrying not fragments, but a whole truth. He sat before the shrine, reflecting on the lessons: the self, compassion, unity, and choice. These were not weapons of war, but pillars of strength that no blade could pierce. The Eternal Shield was not armor against the world, but a guide within it. When he rose, he left a token of thanks, a simple stone from his path. The shrine seemed to glow softly in response, as if acknowledging his offering. The grove opened to a new trail, leading into hills where wind rushed freely. Birds wheeled above, their wings cutting through the air with effortless grace. He walked with steady steps, the fragments a silent rhythm within his journey. As the sun rose higher, he came upon shepherds tending flocks along the hillside. They greeted him warmly, offering bread and water without question of his purpose. In their kindness, he saw yet another truth: that the shield also lived in community. Protection was not always a grand act, but the sharing of simple burdens. The shepherds spoke of an old ruin beyond the hill, a place feared by some. They warned him of shadows there, not of danger, but of forgotten memories. The traveler thanked them, carrying their words as gently as their bread. By evening, he reached the ruin, its stones cracked, its walls leaning yet unfallen. The air was heavy, filled with the scent of age and echoes of silence. He stepped carefully among the stones, each one carrying stories buried deep within. The fragments pulsed again, brighter this time, as though eager to reveal another truth. At the heart of the ruin, he found not another fragment, but a mirror of bronze. Its surface reflected not his face, but all the fragments glowing as one light. And he knew the shield was not only found in fragments, but in how they came together. The journey was shaping him, as surely as he was gathering the shield. And with each step forward, he was no longer simply seeking it. He was living it, breathing it, becoming it, an eternal truth bound in mortal form. Night fell gently over the ruins, stars blossoming across the vast tapestry of the sky. The traveler sat among the ancient stones, listening to the soft hum of the fragments. Their glow was steady now, a quiet light that kept the shadows of the night at bay. He felt as though he was no longer alone, carried by voices of wisdom that endured. The bronze mirror still shimmered faintly, reflecting more than the eye could understand. He reached for it again, and the fragments responded, weaving their light upon its surface. Visions rose like mist, shaping not battles or heroes, but circles of people in gathering. They spoke not with weapons, but with words, building bridges where walls once stood. The traveler realized the shield was not defense against others, but against division. Its strength was unity, forged not in silence, but in dialogue and listening. The vision faded, leaving him in the quiet ruins, yet his heart carried the lesson. He rose at dawn, following a winding trail that led deeper into the hills. The air smelled of pine, crisp and sharp, and the sound of rushing water echoed. Soon he reached a waterfall cascading into a pool, its spray lit by morning sun. By the pool sat a woman, her hair silver, her gaze calm as still water. She greeted him not with questions, but with a knowing smile, as if she had waited. The traveler bowed, sensing her presence was no ordinary chance of the road. She asked him to sit, and together they listened to the voice of the water. She spoke softly of the shield, of how it was never meant to be found quickly. Each fragment was a reflection of the seeker, shaped by the courage to endure. The traveler asked her if she was a guardian, and she only smiled again. "Guardians are not chosen," she said. "They are revealed by how they carry truth." She placed in his hand a small fragment, this one glowing with a gentle blue light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, calming and steady, radiating a sense of peace. The traveler felt warmth spread through him, dissolving doubts like morning mist. This fragment carried the lesson of trust, not blind faith, but openness to guidance. The shield, he realized, was not just about wisdom, but about trust in its path. When he looked again, the woman was gone, as though she had never been. Only the pool remained, rippling beneath the waterfall, carrying the reflection of the sky. He rose and walked on, the fifth fragment resting close, joining the others in harmony. Through forests and valleys he traveled, each step a rhythm, each breath a prayer. In villages he passed, he listened to stories, offered help, and received kindness. He saw how the lessons of the shield were already alive in simple daily lives. Wisdom was not only in temples or ruins, but in shared meals and open hearts. One evening, as the sun set red over the horizon, he reached a crossroads. The road split into three paths, each disappearing into shadowed woods. The fragments pulsed, not in direction, but in reassurance, telling him choice was his. He closed his eyes, recalling the lessons: self, compassion, unity, choice, and trust. Then he stepped forward, not by certainty, but by faith in the journey itself. The woods embraced him with silence, branches arching overhead like ancient hands. Owl calls echoed, and the air was filled with the scent of moss and earth. He felt no fear, only the steady presence of the fragments guiding his spirit. At last, the trees opened into a clearing where moonlight fell like silver rain. At the center stood a stone circle, weathered yet radiant with timeless energy. The fragments glowed brighter, responding to the place as if it were their home. The traveler knew his path had brought him here for a reason yet unknown. He stood in the circle, the night vast above, the earth solid beneath his feet. And for the first time, he felt the eternal shield was not ahead of him. It was within him, waiting to be revealed, piece by piece through his journey. Night fell gently over the ruins, stars blossoming across the vast tapestry of the sky. The traveler sat among the ancient stones, listening to the soft hum of the fragments. Their glow was steady now, a quiet light that kept the shadows of the night at bay. He felt as though he was no longer alone, carried by voices of wisdom that endured. The bronze mirror still shimmered faintly, reflecting more than the eye could understand. He reached for it again, and the fragments responded, weaving their light upon its surface. Visions rose like mist, shaping not battles or heroes, but circles of people in gathering. They spoke not with weapons, but with words, building bridges where walls once stood. The traveler realized the shield was not defense against others, but against division. Its strength was unity, forged not in silence, but in dialogue and listening. The vision faded, leaving him in the quiet ruins, yet his heart carried the lesson. He rose at dawn, following a winding trail that led deeper into the hills. The air smelled of pine, crisp and sharp, and the sound of rushing water echoed. Soon he reached a waterfall cascading into a pool, its spray lit by morning sun. By the pool sat a woman, her hair silver, her gaze calm as still water. She greeted him not with questions, but with a knowing smile, as if she had waited. The traveler bowed, sensing her presence was no ordinary chance of the road. She asked him to sit, and together they listened to the voice of the water. She spoke softly of the shield, of how it was never meant to be found quickly. Each fragment was a reflection of the seeker, shaped by the courage to endure. The traveler asked her if she was a guardian, and she only smiled again. "Guardians are not chosen," she said. "They are revealed by how they carry truth." She placed in his hand a small fragment, this one glowing with a gentle blue light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, calming and steady, radiating a sense of peace. The traveler felt warmth spread through him, dissolving doubts like morning mist. This fragment carried the lesson of trust, not blind faith, but openness to guidance. The shield, he realized, was not just about wisdom, but about trust in its path. When he looked again, the woman was gone, as though she had never been. Only the pool remained, rippling beneath the waterfall, carrying the reflection of the sky. He rose and walked on, the fifth fragment resting close, joining the others in harmony. Through forests and valleys he traveled, each step a rhythm, each breath a prayer. In villages he passed, he listened to stories, offered help, and received kindness. He saw how the lessons of the shield were already alive in simple daily lives. Wisdom was not only in temples or ruins, but in shared meals and open hearts. One evening, as the sun set red over the horizon, he reached a crossroads. The road split into three paths, each disappearing into shadowed woods. The fragments pulsed, not in direction, but in reassurance, telling him choice was his. He closed his eyes, recalling the lessons: self, compassion, unity, choice, and trust. Then he stepped forward, not by certainty, but by faith in the journey itself. The woods embraced him with silence, branches arching overhead like ancient hands. Owl calls echoed, and the air was filled with the scent of moss and earth. He felt no fear, only the steady presence of the fragments guiding his spirit. At last, the trees opened into a clearing, where moonlight fell like silver rain. At the center stood a stone circle, weathered yet radiant with timeless energy. The fragments glowed brighter, responding to the place as if it were their home. The traveler knew his path had brought him here for a reason yet unknown. He stood in the circle, the night vast above, the earth solid beneath his feet. And for the first time, he felt the eternal shield was not ahead of him. It was within him, waiting to be revealed, piece by piece, through his journey. The dawn rose golden. Spilling light across the stones, the circle bathed in quiet brilliance. The traveler stood within it, the fragments gathered, pulsing as one in steady harmony. They no longer felt like pieces of something broken, but parts of a greater whole. His journey had been long, marked not by conquest, but by lessons carved into spirit. The shield, once imagined as an object, was revealed as something living within him. Each fragment had not simply been found, it had awakened truths he already carried. The lesson of self, the embrace of compassion, the strength of unity, the weight of choice. And finally, trust. The quiet courage to walk forward even when the path was unclear. As he breathed, the fragments rose into the air, circling him in radiant arcs of light. They merged, folding into each other until only a single glow remained, pure and eternal. The eternal shield shimmered before him, not metal, not stone, but living illumination. He reached out and the shield settled into his hands, weightless yet profound. It reflected no image, no weapon, no threat, only the truth of the one who held it. In that moment, he felt connected to all who had ever sought wisdom before him. He was not chosen by fate nor marked by prophecy, but revealed through his own steps. The shield was never meant to protect against wounds of the body, but wounds of spirit. It was a guardian of peace, of courage, of the timeless flame of understanding. The traveler bowed his head, not in triumph, but in gratitude for the path given. He knew the shield was not an end, but a beginning, a light to be carried onward. He left the circle as the sun climbed, its warmth echoing the glow in his hands. Through villages he passed, sharing not tales of conquest, but lessons of kindness. He listened more than he spoke, offering presence as much as wisdom. Where disputes arose, he did not impose, but guided with questions that led to clarity. The shield shone brightest, not in battlefields, but in moments of quiet reconciliation. Children laughed in its presence, elders nodded, and strangers felt a weight lifted. The traveler understood now. The shield lived not for him, but through him to others. Its light was eternal because it did not belong to one hand, one life, one age. It was the echo of Athena's gift, carried forward by those who sought truth. When night returned, he rested beneath stars, the shield glowing softly by his side. He dreamed not of distant quests, but of rivers, fields, and faces he had met. For the eternal lies not only in divine realms, but in the threads we weave daily. The traveler rose again at dawn, the journey stretching endlessly ahead, unmeasured. He no longer walked to find the shield, for it was with him, within him. Each step was now an act of keeping it alive, of letting wisdom breathe. And so the legend endured, not in temples or scrolls, but in the lives it touched. The eternal shield of Athena was not lost, nor found, but always remembered. Wherever compassion rises, where unity grows, where courage stands, there it shines. The traveler smiled, the path endless, the shield eternal, and the story still unfolding.